guys, what's up? It's Adam back with another edition of Sports and Stuff with my friend Riley Cregan here. What's up, Riley?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Yeah, we're shooting here in beautiful Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Beautiful city.
It is our Christmas edition of Sports and Stuff. So we're here on Christmas Eve, December 22nd, and we're excited to have a good show.
Yep.
Riley's come up with some good themes for us today.
Yeah, Christmas themes are always fun. Mix them with sports and see what happens.
Yeah. So it's episode 2. Just wanted to address some feedback that we got for episode 1. I think we had a lot of positive feedback. I appreciate everyone who gave it a listen and provided us with some constructive criticism. We're going to work on the timing a little bit. We have a few less segments this time. Hopefully we're trying to aim around the 1 hour mark.
Yeah, we're hoping people like us, but I don't know if anyone likes listening to somebody for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. And then next thing, I just wanted to give my friend Neil Sides a shout out for making our graphic. It looks amazing. I really like it.
Yeah, he's an artist, that guy.
Yeah, he's a real stand-up lad.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Chief Landon Powell.
Chief
for helping with the editing.
Sorry, you're a Jets fan though.
Hopefully, I won't need your help editing on this one, but we'll see. Let's dive right into it, man.
All right,
let's get it.
So we're just gonna start with NFL topics to start and kind of go sport by sport this time instead of kind of jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
So start with the NFL. And last week, y'all might remember when we picked some teams and we were going to pick who's won each NFL game. Well, I just want to give you the results. As expected, I whooped Adam's ass. I was 8-7, and Adam was 6-9. Well, credit to him being 6-9.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Nice.
But early in the week, I got a text message from Adam, quote unquote. Well, because there's 3 games before the Sunday games. So there's a Thursday game and there's 2 Saturday games this week. And he texts me and says, 3-0, baby, LOL. Well, as expected, I ended up on top. And
nice.
The only thing that made me look really, really bad is when we think about all the games last week we're thinking about most surprising game result. One that just made me look terrible was that the Seahawks lost to the 49ers.
Oh, yeah. Lost to the bowl, baby.
After predicting them to go to the Super Bowl, they lost to the 49ers that don't have Jimmy G and have 5 wins or 4 wins or something terrible. So
it's not over, man.
No, it's absolutely not.
But it just still made the bowl.
It made me look pretty bad. I probably lost some listeners from of our 20 listeners. We probably lost 5.
Yeah, the most surprising game to me was I'm notoriously not a big Dallas guy, but I really did not think they would have the meltdown that they had.
Oh, I absolutely thought it was going to happen.
I mean, I know you picked Indianapolis, but I mean, if you were to tell me that Andrew Luck throws for less than 200 yards, no touchdowns, I mean, they blew them out. They had 23 points. This is a Colts team that a year ago was giving up 5 sacks a game, it felt like.
Oh, yeah.
Against Dallas, and not a bad defense in Dallas. 0 sacks, 178 rush yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, I think offensive lines travel, man. I'll talk about it later, but my opinion of Indianapolis has changed a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I will talk about them later as well. And then also, we talk about offensive lines traveling. Well, what about Dallas's offensive line? And I think the problem with Dallas right now is it's literally Zeke and Amari Cooper, but you have Dak Prescott thrown to him, and everyone just is going to start stacking the box. And what are they going to do? How are they going to score points if Zeke doesn't have a good game? Well,
that's fair. And Zeke, admittedly, this season, I mean, he's not finding the end zone with a lot of success.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he has 9 total touchdowns or something like that. I mean,
I mean, he has a lot of yards, but he also has a lot of attempts.
Yeah. I think another standout thing for this past week was how well backup running backs did.
Yeah.
And I texted you this when we were watching the Thursday night game, Kansas City and L.A.
There's some names out there, man.
Yeah, and they were feasting.
Yeah.
Them. I mean, you had Justin Jackson and Dontrez Newsome for the Chargers, and you had Damian and Darrell Williams, and they combined for, I think they had close to 150 total yards, 3 touchdowns. They were catching the ball, and I decided to do a kind of a deep dive on how well backup running backs did last week compared to traditional starting running backs, and the numbers are a lot closer than I thought you would think they would be. Starting running backs, they take the cake in yards per back. So their running backs had more yards a game.
Yeah.
They had about 70 yards a game, and backups had about 52. But backups had them in yards per catch, which I thought was surprising because I think that's the main difference and what makes a starting running back a starting running back is their ability to catch the ball in today's NFL anyways.
Yeah, you would, yeah.
And they win in yards per catch. They're really close in receptions. I guess that's kind of an offensive scheme thing. They don't score as many touchdowns, but they scored the exact amount of touchdowns in the passing game, but they don't score as many rushing touchdowns. I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting when you look at the numbers.
I'm assuming yards per carry was in the backups' favor.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I don't have that stat on me right now, but
Because the total yards should go to the starter, given they're going to have way more, touches and carries. And when I looked at the backups, I kind of looked at how important is it to have a backup running back.
Right.
I think if you start with the Steelers, very important, right? Le'Veon Bell goes down. You have a guy come in, James Conner, and you knew you had confidence in him. He did really well. Obviously, he's not Le'Veon Bell. It's not even close. Right. But he's had a great year, and then he goes down, and then they have Jalen Samuels and Ridley step in against the Patriots and have great game. I mean, Jalen Samuels made probably the catch of the game on that third down against the Patriots to help seal the game. And I just kind of got to thinking, if is a backup running back, did those correlate at all to success for teams?
Right.
And the Steelers probably, if they didn't have a backup running back, they wouldn't have 8 wins. They still have had kind of a disappointing season, but still without a backup running back, they probably wouldn't be there. If the Chiefs didn't have 2 running backs or 3 running backs that could step in after their Kareem Hunt goes and kicks a woman, that would be that would be an issue as well.
Right.
So you have those backup running backs, Chiefs, Steelers, Chargers, all good teams. The Vikings are a playoff team. They're not a great team, but with Latavius Murray, their franchise running back, basically, they drafted last year to be like their running back for the future, is littered with injuries, not just this year, but last year, out for the year. And Latavius Murray's stepped in both years, done really well, led them to, helped lead them to an NFC championship last year.
Right.
Looks like they might get into the playoffs this year, but he had good yardage when he was out, when Cook was out. Tevin Coleman, the Falcons, that's one that doesn't really correlate. Tevin Coleman's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's done excellent. He's on par with Devontae Freeman as far as production goes.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of other problems on that Atlanta team.
Yeah.
And then if you look at Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard gets way more touches than Tariq Cohen, but Tariq Cohen does way more with it.
Yeah.
And it's not like Jordan Howard's been hurt. But if they didn't have Tariq and they had to rely on Jordan Howard, I'm not sure that running gains.
That's a different offense.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you look at the opposite end, you look at backups that just haven't done well, right? We look at Jacksonville, who with T.J. Yeldon, who did well last year. He's averaging about 4 yards a carry, and he's had to play a lot with Leonard Fournette. Their running game's been terrible. They couldn't get anything going. When they didn't have Leonard offensively. Not that Leonard Fournette's really having a good year either when he came back,
That's
but that last year that was what they were about. They're about running the ball. They averaged a lot, a point like 20 some points per game. This year it's down to 15 or 16, and it's because they have no running game and they have to rely more on Blake Bortles or whoever the hell's playing their quarterback. So it's
Cody Kessler.
yeah, so it's not good. And then the Panthers, who just lost their 6th in a row,
Wah, wah.
don't have a backup in really my mind. I mean, they had C.J. Anderson.
Yeah,
That's who has the most yards for them as the backup.
yeah. I think Curtis Samuel is the stepping in as the number 2 running back.
Yeah. Not really a running back.
No, not at all a running back. Not really a wide receiver either.
No.
I'm just kidding. He's had an outstanding season for him. He's doing well.
Yeah.
Speaking about the Panthers, I've been talking with some of my friends outside of the show.
We are in North Carolina. So.
Yeah, about where Christian McCaffrey falls. Because the second half of the season he's been out of this world.
Yeah.
At the very least, as a pass catcher, he has been top 2 running back in the league in the past 6 weeks.
He's a pass catcher, absolutely.
So I want you to give me your top 5 running backs, and give me a little bit of explanation there as to why you chose them.
Yeah, so really when I looked at running backs, I mean, it's easy to just go and look at total yardage and say, hey, this guy's, Zeke's the leader in the league, right?
Yeah.
But everyone wouldn't put Zeke, right? We'd put Todd Gurley.
Right.
I have Todd Gurley first. But what I did is I went through, because in today's NFL, it's not about rushing yards. It's also about receiving yards. I did total scrimmage yards, and I did that on a per touch basis.
Okay.
To see where everyone lined up. And it was interesting. Actually, the highest per touch was McCaffrey, 6 yards per touch. Among like the top running backs, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's gotten like 1 or 2 catches or something for like 50 yards.
Yeah.
But 6 yards per touch. Todd Gurley was 5.8. I still put Todd Gurley at 1, just because to me, just eye test. Just watching him play, the athleticism, he still has 5.8 yards per touch. His team, it translates to his team doing really well. They rely on him for a lot of things, and then he's proven more so than a lot of these other running backs in his 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it last year, or is it 4th season, one or the other, but he did it last year, and he's sustained that level even more so this year. Second, I had Saquon Barkley, actually. And I know the kind of opposite. He's not necessarily proven, but I looked at his team and I said, bad O-line, really bad O-line, bad QB, he's still performing great. Right. And honestly, I'm not really the type of person that wants to take running backs in the top 5, but Saquon Barkley seems like he was worth it. And he... in my opinion, in a couple of years, he's going to be number 1.
Yeah, probably so. I always say, and this is my mantra, if I'm an NFL GM, and people would disagree with this, but I don't think you're ever going to go wrong getting the best football player in the draft. Even though Eli Manning is old and their offensive line is terrible, I mean, they got Saquon Barkley, who at the very least is a revenue generator for the Giants.
Yeah.
He sells tickets, he sells jerseys, and we've seen getting the best quarterback in the draft or the best football player in the draft backfire before. I think that Saquon was easily the best football player in that draft, and we look at positions that where we go with the best athlete and the best football player, and the long-term return on that when you look at Myles Garrett, a guy who went 1st overall, who was the best player in that draft.
Yeah.
You look at Jadeveon Clowney, although he battled injury, now that he's healthy, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these are non-skill guys that are, that are big.
And that's my thing, is just running backs scare me because they they touch the ball the most
That's true.
outside of a
That's
QB.
fair.
They get hit the most. Do we want to use our? I mean, hopefully we don't have the number 2 pick every single year, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
do we want to use our chance here to have number 2 on a running back? Most of the time, I say no. Even with Zeke, I still not even sure if that was worth
Yeah.
it for me. But Saquon, I think breaks that rule for me. The way just watching him,
Yeah.
seeing him play a lot because as an Eagles fan, I watch a lot of NFC East games, and I mean, and he's 5.93 by the way, so he's not far from McCaffrey in his yards per touch. He's actually better than Gurley. He's second best among my top 5.
Yeah.
Number 3, I didn't have this at first. Like in my head, I had a top 5.
Right. Same.
And then I did some numbers, and McCaffrey ended up at my number 3.
Oh, wow.
And, he had the highest yards per touch. I didn't put him at 1 because just by looking at him and looking at the size, I don't think he's the best running back in the NFL. And he's not really a pure running back either. But he looks great. His stats are impressive. He's fast. He's smart. He gets keyed in on every game anyways because everyone knows that he's getting the ball and he still puts up these stats because it's like, hey, it's either going to McCaffrey or it's Cam or McCaffrey pretty much at this point.
Right.
But the catches he the reason why he's not above the passes he catches aren't exactly terribly difficult catches. He does a lot with them after, and then it doesn't really seem to lead to winning as Todd Gurley leads them to winning. And Saquon obviously doesn't necessarily lead to winning, but I think if they didn't have him, they wouldn't have as many wins. You can say the same about McCaffrey, but something about the formula with just feeding McCaffrey doesn't seem to be working with 6 straight losses for the Panthers.
Right.
Zeke I have at 4. So that's kind of pretty low what most people would think when they think about Zeke. He just doesn't impress me out of the backfield. I mean, he has some yards, but he's not that elusive. He has an incredible O-line. He gets a massive volume. He doesn't look as fast as any of these other running backs to me.
Yeah.
And he runs strong, though, when he gets the ball, and he is the X factor for his team. If he does well, they win. If he doesn't do well, they don't win. So that's why he's a top 5 running back. But the reason why he's not above those 3 is just because he's 5.2 yards per touch, the lowest out of these 5, because he gets a massive volume, and his O-line is the best out of anybody's here on this top 5.
Right. Okay. Well, who you got at number 5?
Hit 5, I feel like is far away from the rest of these.
Okay. Who you
And
got?
it's Kamara.
Wow. Okay. Far away.
Yes.
Explain to me why he's far away.
I mean, maybe because he's not getting the touches he should be getting. He has to split carries, but
With another
he's
great
just
back.
with another great back. But he's just not on. To me, he's not on the level of. First of all, his size and his play is most similar to McCaffrey,
Yeah.
and he has 5.6 yards per touch. McCaffrey has 6. He gets away less touches than McCaffrey. McCaffrey has all those touches and still averages more than him.
Right.
And then he just disappears at times in games.
That's true. That's fair.
He's not a great pass protector, to say the least. That's the reason why Mark Ingram has to be in there a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But he's quick, he's elusive, he's a great ball catcher. He's number 5 in the league on my list. I mean, he's still a great running back.
Right.
He's just, in my mind, he was always 5. I did the numbers. He's still 5. He wasn't ever going to pass anybody up there.
Okay. All right. Well, our top 5s aren't that different. I think Todd Gurley is unanimously the best.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Notable that we did leave Le'Veon Bell off this list.
Forgot to mention that.
It's just
we're looking at this season.
Yeah,
I mean, we're looking at a
it's
little
hard,
bit before
it's hard
that.
to use his stats. It would be a little bit too objective or subjective, whichever is proper, to include Le'Veon on this list. So Todd Gurley, 21 total touchdowns, second most rush yards, second best yard per attempt. My only negative for Todd Gurley is he has a pretty poor catch rate. When I was going through this, I just grabbed some key names and I was looking on Football Reference for stats. I was looking at Zeke, Gurley, Saquon, Kamara, McCaffrey, Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, and then just because they caught my eye, I looked at Joe Mixon and Philip Lindsay as well, because rushing the ball, they're really, they rank 4th and 5th in rush yards. Philip Lindsay is tied for second with rushing touchdowns, and he is first with yards per attempt rushing the ball.
Yeah.
But he's a great running back, but he's not going to make my top 5. Neither is Joe Mixon because of their lack of ability in the passing game.
Yep.
They're just not a complete back.
Joe Mixon's passing stats are terrible. I looked at this. I looked at him. I was like, no, he's not.
Yeah, I mean, Gio is the passing back.
Yeah, I mean, given that he gets it taken away because he's not really in the game.
Yeah.
To catch the ball.
Right, and then I got Saquon second for all the reasons you did. I actually put Zeke at third. Because I don't think he's that bad. In the open field, I don't think he's that bad. He's second in catch rate. He's got the second best hands for running backs in the league as far as top guys go, only behind Christian McCaffrey. He is the rushing leader, although he is used quite often. He's still the rushing leader. He's by far and large the best pass blocker on this list.
He is.
So for that reason, I think he's complete. You could argue that he's the most complete back to me, just because of his blocking ability. Whereas Saquon might have the edge in the passing game as a receiver. I think Zeke more than makes up for that with his pass blocking ability. Fourth is a guy you left off, and I'm offended. It's Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
Granted, he's hurt. His stats are a little skewed, but just with just the body of work that he's created this season, he is third in rushing touchdowns, second in yards per attempt, first in yards per reception. I nicknamed him Mr. Efficiency. Austin Eckler hawks a lot of his carries for some reason. I don't understand that. Anthony Lynn, he decides to give Eckler a lot of carries, and Justin Jackson and Dontrez Newsome coming in a spot are doing really well as well. But Melvin Gordon, man, he's got 9 rushing touchdowns, and 4 receiving touchdowns. That's second in both categories respectively. Third in rushing touchdowns, second in passing touchdown or receiving touchdowns. Then fifth is where I put McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And like Kamara is the closest thing to him. But Christian McCaffrey is first in receptions for a back, first in receiving yards, first in receiving touchdowns, and has the best catch rate among top running backs. He also he's middle of the pack among these top guys for rushing, and I guess one could argue that's a running back's job is to run the ball, but
I think a running back's job is to get as many yards as they can with each touch they get.
Yeah, and that's what he does. Like you said, he's what, number one in yards per attempt, or yards per touch, I guess is the phrase you used. I had to include Kamara at 6, for the same reasons that you put him at 5.
So to be clear though, looking at both of ours, and I would have to say the reason I didn't put Gordon there is probably because he's injured, and I just wasn't. But the other reason I thought about when I thought about Gordon was just, hey, everyone on his team seems to do well when that O-line might be something special there too, because everyone they plug in there has really good games. Eckler filled in against I can't remember the game before the Steelers and did really well, and then these 2 no-name running backs essentially do well. Yeah. But, I mean, Melvin Gordon is still, obviously a top 5, top 6 running back, and probably better than Kamara. I probably should have put him above Kamara. But to be clear, though, looking at both of our rankings, Kamara did not get snubbed for the Pro Bowl.
No.
That was a whole headline. I didn't think it should have been.
No, yeah. I completely agree with you.
Everyone was like, Kamara... Why isn't Kamara in the Pro Bowl? He tweets like laugh emojis why he's not in the... You're not getting in over Todd Gurley. You're not getting in over Saquon Barkley or Zeke. And in my rankings, you're not even getting in over... Well, both of our rankings, not even getting in over Christian McCaffrey. He didn't make it either. So,
I mean, there's a lot of good backs in this league. Kamara's one of them, but this season he didn't have it.
He had a great start to the season, and I get Mark Ingram came back, but even with Mark Ingram, he still just disappears sometimes in games.
Yeah.
He's just not going to be better than a Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Zeke, or Christian McCaffrey.
Right. I agree. Okay, we want to talk a little bit about production. Yeah, overusing.
So if we look at everybody on this list, minus Kamara, and McCaffrey, actually, they all have 300 touches at least.
Okay.
On my list. And Todd Gurley, Zeke, Saquon Barkley, they all have 300-plus touches.
Okay.
Zeke with the most, with like 350-something. McCaffrey, Kamara don't have 300, but McCaffrey has 288. I mean, he's going to end up getting 300.
Right. Next week.
My problem is if I'm a Panthers fan, I am seriously concerned about the way the Panthers are using Christian McCaffrey. He is 20 pounds less than Saquon, Zeke, Gurley, at least 20 pounds less than all of them.
Right.
He's going to end up with like 20 touches less than them. They have no backup, absolutely none. They're completely relying on McCaffrey. He is 5'11", 205. He's going to end up with 300-some touches. He's leading, obviously, them in rushing, but he's also leading receiver in yards and receptions. And by receptions, he's leading them by 45 receptions.
Jeez.
The closest rusher, aside from their quarterback, to McCaffrey is a wide receiver, DJ Moore, with 172 yards. The next closest is CJ Anderson with 104, who's not on the team anymore. He's not on the team anymore. They have no backup. They have no backup for a 5'11", 205 back who's getting 300-plus yards. They just assuming he's just Iron Man and is not going to get injured one game. They have no plan outside of just feed McCaffrey and live and die by Cam McCaffrey. You can already see what happened with Cam. He's injured. Hey, he gets banged up almost every year now because they use him way too much, and they're doing the same thing with McCaffrey, and it just makes me question, would they use this approach? Would they use McCaffrey as much as they use him if he wasn't on a rookie contract making $1.25 million?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess longevity can be questioned here. He's certainly producing. I think
absolutely producing great back, but it's just
what's that gonna like in 2 years? You
Yeah.
think? Yeah. I mean, as far as I looked at top 15 running backs by attempt. Who has the most attempts? And Saquon, McCaffrey, and Phillip Lindsay are the only top 15 in that category with over 5 yards per carry. So is he smaller? Yes. This is going to be a time will tell thing. We've seen guys get force fed and succeed, and his size probably does raise some red flags. But we'll see if he can. He seems like a tough guy to me.
Get a backup running back though.
You're right.
Get somebody to carry the ball besides McCaffrey.
Yeah. Get somebody.
Just give him like one play, 2 plays a possession at least, like something, and then also if he does get hurt, so you don't go, you're 6-8 right now, so you don't go like 4-12.
Yeah. I'd like to know what his win share is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty high. It's probably as high as anyone on the team.
Yeah, I would agree. That concerns me. I'm concerned if I'm a Panthers fan. And not just because y'all lost 6 in a row, but also because you're relying on 2 players. One's hurt. One gets an extreme amount of carries. Yeah. And I just wonder if they would care about him a little more if he wasn't only making $1 million a year.
Dang. Truth bombs on the Panthers. Wow.
Okay, so we'll go to next week. Pretty much we talked about last week. Let's talk about next week. There's a few games that we kind of highlighted. One being Houston, Philly. Philly coming off the huge win.
Huge win.
Awesome. I was very excited.
I'm sure.
I was intoxicated, and it was great. The Eagles and Houston playing each other in Houston.
No, it's in
It's in Philly.
It's in Philly. Listen, here's
What's your feelings?
This is my take on it, man. Nick Foles is at quarterback. I'll jump on that train. They're playing inspired ball.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is a young quarterback, and Lincoln is gonna be rocking.
Yeah.
The good thing for Houston is defense travels historically, and they have one of the best in the business. But I'm looking for Philly to get it done.
I have Philly in this game as well. I think Houston's a little overrated. Their schedule is
Poopy.
terrible. That comes with the division they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Not their fault.
Yeah.
But also their conference, the other divisions they're playing are weak. They've beaten, I think, one playoff team this year. Philly's schedule's kind of the opposite. It's hard as shit.
Rail every week.
And that's why they're not that good, among other things. But I see Philly here at home. I see them winning. Do I like picking my own team to win games? Not really. Am I a little superstitious that I might jinx them? Absolutely. But I think if Nick Foles does what he did last week and spreads the ball around, he's not better than Carson, to be clear, but he did spread the ball around better. It's a little change. It gave us some kind of hope, and our defense played way better. I think Philly ends up with the dub.
I agree. Kansas City at Seattle. What
Yeah.
you think?
So this is my Super Bowl team versus Kansas City, the scrub team.
The scrub Chiefs.
So
versus
let
the
me
Super
make my
Bowl
argument.
Seahawks.
Let me make my argument real quick. I know Seattle just lost to the 49ers. Kind of an elite team though.
Oh.
Okay.
Hot takes.
Okay. 11th.
Hot take.
All right. Seattle is 11th versus quarterbacks this season, which is not great, but it's not bad. It's actually ahead of what you were just talking about, a great defense of the Houston Texans.
Okay.
Chiefs are 31st against quarterbacks.
Okay.
Yes, Russell Wilson has an absurd less amount of yards than Mahomes, like 1,500 less, but he also has way less attempts. So if you actually go on the margin, little econ guy, so on the margin, Wilson has 8.1 yards per attempt. Mahomes has 8.8. Not that big of a difference. 0.7 yards, right? Not saying it's better, but then Wilson also has 5 less interceptions than Mahomes. And then, okay, that's the passing part. So we have 11th versus QBs playing a quarterback 8.8 yards per attempt. And we have the 31st against QBs playing quarterback 8.1 yards per attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And we have running gains. Seattle still number 1. Chiefs 30th. 30th ranked rush defense. So we have the number 1 running game going against the 30th ranked rush defense. It's a pretty good matchup, right? For the Seahawks. And then their rush defense, Seattle's rush defense, middle of the road at 14, but Chiefs' rushing gain is not overwhelming at 16. On top of all that, Seattle is home.
The 12th man.
Chiefs going off a loss. Young quarterback going into Seattle. A lot of pressure on them to win the game so that they can get that 1 seed. I'm going with Seattle.
You know, I really don't think that's a stupid pick. A lot in me said to pick Seattle. Like you said, 12th man is gonna be louder than Lincoln. Russell Wilson is historically outstanding after a loss. He's never had a losing streak longer than 2 games, and I think he's gonna find that 2-game losing streak again. I think your points are very valid, but I think this is the year for Kansas City, man. Patrick Mahomes seems like the real deal. He plays like a veteran.
I mean, they played outstanding last week. They blew the game.
Yeah.
Against the Chargers.
Yeah. Well, and Seattle has
Andy Reid's pretty good at blowing games.
Seattle has sputtered offensively at times.
Yep.
And it's going to be a great defense versus a great offense, and a mediocre offense versus a very bad defense. And we'll see We'll see how that works out. The eye test tells me that the Chiefs are going to win. That's where I'm at.
Hey, 8.1, 8.8. That's all I'm saying. Give me Seattle at home.
So I'm thinking the Chargers are going to beat the Ravens also.
Yes. It's finally time for me to give the Chargers a little more credit.
Yeah, it is.
I still think they're getting lucky, but you need luck to get 10 wins, 12 wins, whatever they end up with. Because they came back against the Steelers in a weird game. They came back against the Chiefs in a weird game. A little lucky, but Keenan Allen and Gordon are both playing. Baltimore's defense is elite, but I don't believe in Lamar against the Chargers defense, which is actually 7th against quarterbacks.
Yep.
And that's why they played. That's why Mahomes really didn't have that great of a game last week. I don't think Lamar can overcome that.
I don't think he can either.
And I think the Chargers will get at least 21, 24 points, and that'll be enough.
Yep, I agree. New Orleans versus Pittsburgh. I know who you're going to say. Go ahead and tell me.
Pittsburgh, baby.
Oh, man.
Coming off the big win against your Patriots.
Okay.
Dominating.
All right.
Dominating Tom Brady.
Okay.
Dominating.
Dominating, but...
Absolutely dominated him.
Okay.
And I told you they would beat New England.
You did.
And I'm telling you they're going to go to New Orleans and beat the Saints. Why? Because I'm biased. I like the Steelers.
At least you're
But
honest.
because their season is on the line, the Saints have looked like poo in the past 3 weeks, in my opinion.
They have.
Terrible against the Cowboys, terrible against Tampa Bay, terrible against the Panthers. Yeah, they're 2-1 in that stretch. But you can't watch that game last Monday night and say that team looks like a Super Bowl winning team.
Yep.
I know they're going back home, and that's the argument, is they're going back home. They're going to get their shit together, right? But Pittsburgh, season's on the line, coming off a big win against the Patriots, a season-saving win. They're going to need another season-saving win tonight, and or not tonight, tomorrow night. And I see that happening.
Yeah, I'm going to quote Steve Young says that New Orleans is a coasting team. That's what he says. But I don't buy that. They obviously the past 3 games have not been up to par, but they have an outstanding leader in Drew Brees. They have a great coach, and I think that this is where they turn it around. I don't think this is not a slight to Pittsburgh. I just think this is New Orleans sees that 1 seed slipping, and they turn it on here. It also, Pittsburgh. Let's not ignore that Pittsburgh.
1 seed's actually not slipping that much though, because the Rams just lost to the Eagles.
Yeah, well, they have to secure it. They haven't clinched it yet with 2 weeks left.
They just need 1 win though.
Let's not ignore the fact that Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago went to Oakland
with a backup quarterback
and lost.
With a backup quarterback.
Oakland though.
It was bad. It was Oakland. Chris Boswell, Charlie Browned it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think that could be a really good game, but I got New Orleans turning it around here.
I asked my cousin who's from Pittsburgh last night, and he said the Steelers are gonna get blown out. So that was a little deflating, but but I still Steelers are winning that game in New Orleans. They're gonna surprise a lot of people like they did last week.
Okay, Christmas theme alert. We got our actually no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Who's in, who's out? Let's do this one pretty quick. Who's in, who's out?
Yeah, so we did the playoff picture last week. Mine's pretty much the same. One little change in the AFC. Steelers are still in. Indianapolis is in for me.
Who's falling out?
Out in the AFC is going to be Baltimore.
Yep, that's exactly
They're
what
going to lose to the Chargers this week, as we both said.
Yeah.
And that's going to be enough. No 7-loss team will make the playoffs. Miami's already 7 losses, so they're not going to make it. Tennessee lose to a Colts in a win-in game, the final game of the season. Yep. Cleveland's already 7 losses, making a great run, but 7 losses is not going to get them in the AFC.
Yeah. I'm going to say Cleveland spoils it for Baltimore after Baltimore slides the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think the Steelers win out and get the division. NFC, I still have Dallas in. I mean, I don't think they'll melt down against Tampa Bay and the Giants. I hope they win one. I mean, I don't hope, but they should win one of those 2 games, and that's all they need to win the division. I I have my Seahawks in, which you could argue might not be because they got Kansas City and Arizona. They could end up with 7 losses, but they're winning both those games. They're going to the Super Bowl. And I actually have my Eagles in the playoffs.
I do too, unfortunately.
I have them beating Houston somehow, some way, and then last game of the season, Redskins should be a win.
They'll handle it.
And I think Minnesota will lose to the Bears because the Bears are going to play for it now because the Rams lost last week to the Eagles. Now the Bears aren't going to rest any starters.
Right. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. They're going to fall to Chicago. Eagles win out, and that's it. I thought about Seahawks going out, but they had the tiebreaker over the Eagles, so that got shot.
Yeah. They'd have to lose both games, and
Eagles win. Yeah, and that's not going to happen. They're going to beat the Cardinals. Okay, naughty and nice. Jingle Bell Rock.
Yeah.
Here we are, our first
festive.
Yeah, first festive guy. So what we're doing here. This is an idea of Riley's. This is a good idea. That we are going to say 2 coaches that are on our nice list, 2 coaches that are on our naughty list. I'll start us off with my nice list. It's time to give Andy Reid the credit he deserves, I think. Obviously, we have playoffs to look at, but when's the last time that he didn't do like a mid-season slide?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're playing good ball. They let one slip away in L.A. I think this week they go to Seattle, make a statement win, and I think this is the year they have a deep run. I'm saying AFC Championship.
They go to Seattle, lose, and there's a lot of question marks up about this Chiefs team going into week 16.
You're right.
No, I'm just kidding. No, Andy Reid's done a great job. Phenomenal job.
Other nice list is Anthony Lynn, L.A. Chargers. He has an outstanding coaching tree, which I discovered last night. Here's his coaching tree: Mike Shanahan, Jack Del Rio, Bill Parcells, Romeo Crennel, and Rex Ryan.
Wow.
That's a outstanding coaching tree. 2 years ago, the Chargers without Anthony Lynn were 5-11. Last year they were 9-7. To now they are 11-3. This is the hottest the Chargers have been in recent memory.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot with a little. It's, in my opinion, he's got a solid offensive line. Phillip Rivers is adequate. He's playing good ball, but he's out of his prime.
Yeah, and defensively, I mean, they don't have that much on defense besides pass rush.
And they use Mike Williams as best as he's ever been used last week. Their backup running backs are feasting. Their defense is mixing it up. They're confusing fronts. Anthony Lynn.
Should I do my nices?
Yeah, go ahead for your nices.
Frank Reich, Colts coach.
Fair.
Why? Well, first of all, 4-12 to 8-6. But second of all, protecting Luck.
Oh man, I love that.
Protecting Luck.
I love that.
Sacks during the full seasons Luck has played in his career. His sacks total have been 41, 32, 27, 41. Aside from this year.
Right.
This year, through 14 games, 16, last among starting quarterbacks.
That's awesome.
Last.
That makes me so happy.
It makes me so happy. And last year, it's not like the O-line. I know you're high in this O-line. I like this O-line, but it's not like they just magically became this great O-line.
That's fair.
Because last year they gave up 52 sacks. 52. It wasn't Luck that was playing, but 52 sacks with Jacoby Brissett, last in the league. Now they're first in the NFL of last in giving up sacks, first in protecting the quarterback.
Yeah.
How is he doing this? Yes, O-line improved a little bit, like I said, but it's not magic. It's coaching Luck to release the ball fast. This year he's 8th in how fast he releases the ball, 8th fastest. Last time he played, he was 37th. That's the difference. He's designing plays. He's coaching Luck. He's getting rid of the ball quick. He went 1-5 to start off. It didn't stop him. Now he's 8-6. So 7-1 in the last few games, last 8 games. And then the defense went from 30th in 2016, last time Luck was playing, to 10th this year.
Right.
So he's a nice coach.
Yep.
He's doing a great job. Coming from the Eagles OC, I miss him a lot because our offense sucks this year. Matt Nagy. Last time Bears had a winning season was 2012. Haven't had more than 6 wins in the past 4 years and have had 8 combined wins the last 2 years. They have 10 right now.
Yep.
Offensively, they went from 16.5 points per game last year. To be clear, he wasn't coaching last year. John Fox was. Now 27.4 and 5th in the league this year.
Yep.
With almost the same offensive roster. I mean, you have Burton, Gabriel, Robinson, and pass catchers coming in. But, I mean, it's not like any of those are really elite players.
Right.
Same running back, same line, same QB. A QB that lost last year went from 7 TDs to 23. Has 700 more yards already. His QBR went from an average of 77 to 94. And all that considered, he's still shown major accuracy issues in some of the games this year. And Matt Nagy's overcome that, obviously, with his defense. Was a great defense last year, 10th in the league. Now they're 3rd. Acquiring Khalil Mack probably had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
But they're doing great, and 10 wins, and he's really turned this franchise around.
All right. Who's naughty?
You want me to do my naughty?
Yeah, go for naughty.
Doug Marrone, Jacksonville.
Fair.
10-6 to 4-10. This is partly a GM issue too. This is partly Tom Coughlin's fault that they're this bad because they stuck with Blake Bortles. But they didn't try to improve anything last year.
Nope.
They got content. They basically said, "Hey, we went 10-6. We made the AFC Championship. Let's just come back with the same roster."
It was a fluke season.
Came back with the same roster, same schemes as last year, same shitty quarterback. The only difference was that teams were ready. Like, it's the NFL. You can't just come back with the same stuff. People have film. They know what you did last year.
Right.
You have to change something.
Right.
Yes, they have no running game, and you can blame the absence of Fournette. But when he's averaging averaging 3.4 yards per carry. He's a better back than that. You have to put him Leonard Fournette should not be averaging 3.4 yards. That's scheme.
They're just wasting talent over there.
That's scheme,
man.
absolutely. Second should be he's a frequent naughty lister. He should be on there every year that he's coached for the past 5 years, and that's Marvin Lewis.
Trash.
Terrible. Like I said.
Wasting talent there, too.
Yeah. Wasting talent and just wasting a fan base. If I'm a Cincinnati fan, my God.
Mm-hmm.
He probably has a collection of coal by now. It's the first year the Steelers seem vulnerable. He starts 4-1, and then he loses 7 of his last 9. And it's really the first year in the while that they really could have had a chance at winning the division.
Yeah.
And they haven't won a playoff game since he's been there, 15 years.
Yeah. And they hire Hugh
Jackson.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, why would you do that?
You hire a man who has won 1 game in the last 2 years and to help with your defense, and guess what happens? Your total defense is dead last. Dead last.
Yeah.
And you're 25th in total offense.
And Baker Mayfield comes into Cincinnati and teabags you.
Yeah. And think about your talent. You have A.J. Green. I mean, you have a blazing speed with Ross. You have You have Boyd.
Joe Mixon.
You have Joe Mixon, who's got a tremendous talent.
Yeah.
He also beats women, but, and then he came out with the same scheme every year, never won a playoff game. Give him a bag of coal and get him the fuck out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree. My naughty list, a guy that I was really, really hoping was going to be good this year. I'm a big fan of his, is Matt Patricia. Mr. Pencil behind the ear, Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
He comes out of New England as the next big thing.
Right.
We're still waiting on Josh McDaniels. I actually do think he is the next big thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, Matt Patricia's supposed to be this defensive mastermind.
He did beat Bill Belichick, though.
He did beat Bill Belichick. But they are 18th in points allowed, 25th in total points. That's just bad. That's bad on defense. That's bad on offense. And they're not a team that, to their credit, this is the best rushing season that the Lions have had since Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
But
Barry Sanders.
I mean, literally. What? They didn't have a 100-yard rusher for 10 years.
Yeah. That was a crazy statistic.
And Carry-On finally broke that.
Yeah.
And without him, they're still producing. They're getting about 100 yards a game rushing the ball. But I mean, Matt Stafford is sitting on a pile of cash, and he's not winning games. And I don't think it's Matt Stafford's fault. They have a solid receiving core. They're just not. The plays are bad. The defense is bad.
Not really that solid of a. I mean, I guess what Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay.
Well, they had Golden Tate and they traded him away.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah,
so not
I know.
any. I mean,
Yeah, I mean they
took away.
granted it's
weapon.
not Patricia, but they trade away Eric Ebron, who is thriving in Indianapolis.
Yeah, they wrote him off as a bust.
Yep.
They made him seem like a bust. They gave him away for nothing, and he's a Pro Bowl tight end this year.
Yeah. Go Heels.
Got to feel great for Eric.
Go Heels.
Yeah.
And he took a team that was consistently over 500 to 5-9 already, so definitely not getting back to 500 this season.
Yep.
I'm disappointed in Matt Patricia. Cole for him.
Are you when you give him Cole, are you gonna send him packing, or are you gonna give him
No,
another chance?
he's. I mean, one year is not enough.
Yeah, I agree.
If we're not gonna fire Gruden, we're definitely not firing Matt Patricia. I thought Gruden was too easy a target.
Yeah, I didn't put him on either.
Yeah, he is definitely bottom of the naughty list, or
Yeah.
actually top of the naughty list. He was the first person Santa wrote down.
Yeah.
He gets a bunch of Cole, and Khalil Mack is gonna throw it at him.
Yeah.
My second naughty coach is Vance Joseph, for the Denver Broncos. He is wasting a top tier defense.
Can we give John Elway some Cole too, though?
Yeah, I mean it is, and there's no. I don't think there's a single situation where the head coach is the sole
That's
problem.
true. Absolutely.
But we have this is a Super Bowl defense.
Yeah.
You know, we're not missing. Aqib Talib is the only major guy who's not on that defense.
Yeah. And they're aging, but they were playing at a high level last year.
And they just got Bradley Chubb, who played well.
Yeah.
I mean, Case Keenum took the Vikings to an NFC Championship. He's not bad enough for them to be the 21st total offense.
Yeah, and
They're behind New York, the Giants.
And another thing you can look at is the Demaryius Thomas
Right.
doesn't do anything with
yeah.
with the Broncos. He gets traded to the Texans, and I mean I don't even know how many touchdowns he had with the Broncos, but he has like 4 already with the Texans.
And
obviously he's not washed up, completely washed up.
He's not washed. Emmanuel Sanders is good. Philip Lindsay is playing. He's a Pro Bowl running back.
That is the cheapest Pro Bowl running back anyone has.
I mean, I just don't see how you're not winning games there. Keenum is not that bad.
To be fair, they are in the hardest division in the National Football League. Chargers, Chiefs,
Raiders.
the Chargers and Chiefs though. That's 4 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, both of these guys are in tough divisions. The NFC North is nothing to scoff at either.
Oh yeah.
Granted, they're subpar this year, but typically, I mean.
Oh, but I agree. Vance Joseph should be better than they are. That's 4 games maybe. But other than that, I mean, you have to win. Where they have 5 wins, 6 wins.
Yeah, they have 5 wins.
Yeah, it's gotta be better than that.
Okay. On to our first segment about college basketball. This is another Christmas theme. We got our Rudolph of the year.
Yeah, and what we mean by that is kind of like who is kind of how Rudolph came out of nowhere. No one thought he was going to be a baller like he was. What team this year in our early sample size is going to come out and surprise a lot of people?
Yeah.
You want to start us off?
Yeah, this is, granted, I am not a college basketball aficionado.
Yeah.
I was talking to Riley, ACC play is where I'm most comfortable, but I tried to venture outside. Here's a team that I'm going to look for to make a run, and that is Mississippi State, the Bulldogs of Mississippi State.
Wow.
SEC is becoming a basketball power before us. It was Kentucky's conference for the longest time, and I would put Kentucky as probably the 4th best team in that conference now with Tennessee, Auburn, and Mississippi State. They are averaging 96 points a game, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
They have a pair of guys, Quindary and Nick Weatherspoon, some brothers up there, that are balling out. They play solid defense. They average 8 steals a game, 5 blocks per game, which is great. Their entire starting 5 averages double digits. They shoot about 40% from the 3, and they have a guy named Eric Allman, who is a 6'10" guy from Kentucky. He's balling, man. He has 26 blocks through 11 games.
Wow.
I mean, that's the same sort of thing that puts teams like Carolina out of the tournament. Last year, Texas A&M, Robert Williams, shout out. and his partner. I mean, the true big men are lacking in the NCAA, and it seems like Mississippi State has them. I look for the Bulldogs to make a deep run.
Creates tough matchups come tournament time.
Yep.
I stayed in the ACC. I think SEC has a lot of ranked teams. Do I think they're a powerhouse? Becoming a powerhouse? I'm not sure because all the games they've played against other teams they've lost. Auburn lost to Duke State. Texas Tech lost to Duke. I mean, it's Duke, though. But we'll see. We'll see. You got a lot of basketball to be played. But I stayed in the ACC with NC State.
Right.
One-loss team. No one was talking about they're going to be ranked on Monday. They just beat Auburn.
Yep.
Whether or not Auburn deserves to be number 7 in the country remains to be seen. But they have one loss. I like Kevin Keats a lot. He's done a great job defensively with that team.
Yeah, he's legit, I think.
Yeah. And then you have Torrin Doran, Markel Johnson, Beverly at the point guard. You have 3 or 4 people double digits, averaging double digits, and they can shoot, man. They are 8th in the league in 3-point, or in the country in 3-point percentage, and that's. I mean, yeah, you can live and die by that, but that's big in today's NCAA. I mean, that's why Carolina is where they are, right? I mean, we're just shooting threes. We're throwing up threes. And they handled Auburn pretty easily, in my opinion. They nearly beat Wisconsin, who's a ranked team, pretty solid team. They've won all the games they should have won. We're going to see if we're going to really test them come ACC play. Mm-hmm. But it hurts me to say, but watch out for the Pac this year. I've been impressed with the games I've seen.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah. I'd like to see NC State get back to a little bit of national prominence just for fun.
Yeah.
There's room at the table. I mean, they're not our rival, but,
No.
you know, I'll always cheer for good competition. And, you know, maybe State can provide that.
And we're playing them in a few games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I hope the cardiac Pac years are over. It was really hard to watching them get so close to victory and losing.
Yeah, that's my big thing so far. They've won all the games they're supposed to win. That's a big thing for NC State.
That is huge.
That usually doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, Carolina. What do you think about the UNC basketball team so far? What are their strategy?
I like them. I like them. I'm thinking
so biased. I'm so biased.
I absolutely biased, but I went to that Gonzaga game I think a week ago from today, and that team was scary. They dominated Gonzaga. Gonzaga beat Duke. They dominated them. They should have won by more than 13. They should have won by 20 some. Yeah. There was that if they hadn't turned it over like 22 times. Yeah. We turned it over 22 times and won by 13 points. Yeah. We lost 22 possessions.
We're going to be by 13 points. Gonzaga's last loss until the tournament because they're about to enter conference play.
Yeah,
they're running the board there.
Yeah. Gonzaga's a really good team and we dominated them. Now, what scares me about UNC is we are more than any years in the past very reliant on 3-point.
Yep.
Usually we have like some down low players but we did still out rebound. Somehow we get rebounds with our small lineup. Somehow we are getting rebounds.
Yep. That's Roy Williams.
When our starters are in the majority of the game, i.e. Michigan, we win. So aside from Texas, I mean, the Michigan game was terrible. We were playing bad, but Roy sat our starters for 10 minutes. Can you really count that game as? Can you really look at that game and say we gave a full effort to win that ball game?
Yeah, it was a lesson game for sure. I think. What's gonna? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, one more thing is Kobe White.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's better than Nas.
Yeah. Yeah. No, his draft stock is Nas is going down.
Yeah. What's going to bite us is our depth at forward. Our depth at guard is insane.
Yeah, 7th Wood. Well, if he plays like that, if 7th.
I mean, we have Kobe White, 7th Woods, Cam Johnson, Kenny Williams, Leaky Black, and Nas that can all play the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But then you get down and you have Luke May, Cam Johnson can play the 4, Garrison Brooks, and then you're looking at Sterling Manley, who I'm friends with, and I think he's better than people give him credit for, but especially on the defensive side of the ball. but it's just not a lot of depth. I mean, when your third guy on the depth chart at center is Brandon Huffman, and I'm not super big on him.
Goldsboro.
Yeah, he is Goldsboro bred, and I'm very. I don't want to talk poorly about any of our players. I don't think any of them are bad, and I'm bold enough to say, I'll say it on air, that we're gonna beat Duke at least once this year, and I'm hoping it's in Chapel Hill so I can see it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be there as well. We'll see if UNC lets me get there. Yeah, I think if we make threes and if we rebound, we're gonna be a really good team. But if our threes don't fall, then we have to rely on down low play and the paint play, and I don't think that's a strong point for us this year at all.
Yeah.
I think one last thing, should Nas start?
So I think there's two schools of thought here. There's a school of thought.
And if he starts, what lineup are you putting in?
Yeah. I say if we want to win this year, I think that where we're at right now is where we need to be.
Okay.
I think we could afford to put him in more, and I think we'll see that when we play conference. We'll see him play a lot more.
I agree.
But I feel like Nas goes in with the thinking that he has to make the most of every possession.
Yeah, that's why I feel
from an offensive standpoint, and where he'll try to force highlight plays that really don't need to be highlights.
Yeah. Because he's put out there with. He's never out there with the starters for more than like a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean he plays great defense. He does.
He hustles.
The thing that my critique of Nas Little is not every pass has to be a highlight pass. Not every score has to be a dunk.
Yeah.
I think from a recruiting standpoint, absolutely he should be starting.
Yeah.
Because what message does that send to recruits? Especially this day and age, as unfortunate as it is, or, actually I don't think it's unfortunate. It's just the reality of it. Recruits want to play because especially high-level recruits, they don't want to be in college anyways. That's my...
Yeah, and that's a good point because it's the first time we've landed a top 10 recruit
since the scandal.
Yeah, and then we don't play. He doesn't start.
Yeah.
If I'm a top 10 recruit, I'm like crossing UNC off my list.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm a Kobe White, if I'm a 20-something, and he starts right out and he's doing great and his draft stock's going up, then there's two schools of thought.
Well, you have to have a special sort of athlete, and I think Nas is that sort of guy where he's genuinely a team guy.
Oh yeah, he is definitely a team guy.
I don't think that he cares as much as fans do that he's not starting. I really think that he wants the team to win. He seems like a real UNC guy.
But I still think he's trying to prove that he should be starting, like you said, every time he gets the ball. He thinks he's got to do something special.
Yeah, but I think he's okay with Roy's decision.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Roy and his extension.
2028.
Yep.
He will be 78 years old.
Yep.
I assume this is just a way of telling Roy, hey, you can leave whenever you want.
Yeah.
We're extending your contract to 2028. We're never going to force you out of here.
Right.
You can leave whenever you want.
Yeah. It's more like a respect extension.
Yes. Yeah. So I have no issue with the length. I mean, Roy Williams deserves it. Sometimes his gameplay decisions, I question.
Yeah.
The lack of timeouts, the sometimes benching starters, like in the Michigan, some of those things I question, but his player development to me is unquestionable in most regards. I mean, some would argue that he doesn't develop guards well, but I mean, Kobe White is already looking really good, so we'll see, but 3 natties, I mean, you can't argue with that. He absolutely deserves. My issue with the contract is the salary.
Mm-hmm.
It stayed the same. He makes $2.1 million a year, which is great. We would all like $2.1 million, but that doesn't even crack top 30 in active coaches.
Yeah, he's 41st.
41st in active coaches, and he has 3 natties. Coach K
Going on 4.
going on,
Calling it.
and he's Coach K is paid $8 million,
Yeah.
$6 million more, and he has 3 natties, right?
No, he has 5.
5, okay, more, but still, like, that's.
Yeah. But granted, it's a private school versus a public school. You have to look at that.
But what about the other 40?
Yeah, no, you're right. So this is my beef with it. When you look at coaches, active coaches with national championships, that list is Roy Williams, Jay Wright, Coach K, John Calipari, Bill Self, Tom Izzo, and Jim Boeheim. Jim Boeheim is 74 years old. He is not far from retirement, and he's the only person paid on that list that's paid less than Roy Williams, and it is only $30,000 less than Roy Williams currently.
Yeah.
You got Izzo is $3.7 million. Bill Self is $4.8. Calipari is $7.5. I have Coach K salary at $9.
Calipari's overpaid.
Yeah, not a big Calipari guy. And Jay Wright is a humble $2.5 million.
He should be paid more.
He should. He's a really good coach. I just don't see, and I think this is more Roy than it is Bubba and Carolina disrespecting him.
I hope so.
I think this is Roy saying I don't need this much, but even in his final year, so the pay structure of this contract is he's going to make $542,000 base salary this year. Next year it'll be $595,000, then $625,000, and from that it goes up $25,000 sequentially every year until the contract is up. It'll end at $800,000 a year, and with bonuses that'll be somewhere around $5 million. That is still under Calipari and K, and Calipari's at a public school. I think Roy Williams definitely could have got more money if he wanted it.
I would hope so. I really hope that they aren't underpaying him.
Yeah.
Just because I don't see why they would.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not the reason. I hope Roy doesn't care.
Yeah, I think that is. Also, quick source site, Adam Zagoria from Sports Money gave me those figures. Thank you, Adam Zagoria.
Adam Zagoria. Great first name.
Yeah, really good guy. Big Adam fan. Well, let's go 13 miles down Tobacco Road to Duke, and let's talk about the inevitable comparisons between Zion Williamson and LeBron James. Where you at, man?
Tired of hearing it. I just don't think it's a debate right now. I get the comparison because of the body type.
See, that's where I disagree. Is the body type is different. I think,
but I mean that's why everyone does it. They're like, he's big, just like LeBron.
Yeah,
but he's like way bigger.
He's bigger. LeBron was never, even in Miami, he wasn't as thick of a guy as Zion is. LeBron is more mobile. He's a better ball handler at 18 years old. Let's not compare 16 because it's not a question. 18-year-old LeBron is more mobile, a better ball handler. He can play every position on the court. Zion can't do that. I think Zion is more athletic than LeBron was. But teams aren't tanking to get Zion.
Yes.
In 2003, teams were literally every team that was close to the bottom was tanking.
My question is, can Zion go straight into the NBA right now and put up the numbers LeBron put up in his rookie year?
Yeah, what do you average? 20, 21 points a game?
And win Rookie of the Year, get snubbed as an All-Star, should have been an All-Star. And then 4 years later, lead his team to an NBA, solely lead his team to to an NBA championship. I don't think so. I don't think Zion can do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's going to be a great player.
Zion, here's where the comparison is to me. They're both big, obviously, both tremendously athletic, and it's the rarity of seeing someone with that size and that athleticism with that court vision. And Zion has a passing ability that draws comparisons to LeBron. I don't think he's as good a passer. I think, I'm not bold enough to say that Zion will never be as good as LeBron because, he very well could be. But I think LeBron is LeBron, Zion is Zion. and they're both tremendous. I'm not as against the comparison, I think, as you
And
are.
it's fine. Oh, I mean, it's fine to compare because everyone is like, hey, when someone's good in college, I mean, Andrew Wiggins was the next LeBron. Like, like that was a big comparison.
His dad played for North Lenore, by the way, LaGrange bred.
Yeah,
Shout out.
252. But it's just like every time Duke has a game, that's a headline the next day on ESPN.
Yeah.
And he goes like 17 points and 10 rebounds against Providence.
Yeah.
And that's a headline.
Yeah.
Can we just like save that for once every month at least?
Yeah. Zion dunks the ball. You know who else dunks the ball?
Yeah.
LeBron James.
Then I'm watching a highlight against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the highlight, they go, yeah, this man was in Madison Square Garden. They're like zooming in on Zion, and he was balling. Yeah. And then I see like 2 Zion highlights, and then he fouls out. and the rest of them was just like, was Jones, the point guard, that really
Trey
won
Jones
that game.
won
That game. And I'm just like, well, why is Trey Jones not the highlight there? Why is Zion?
Yeah, it's also unfair to Zion.
Oh,
that's putting
great.
So much
Such
pressure.
a good kid.
Yeah.
He's funny. They asked him if he wanted to play for the Knicks, and he was like, I think that's Cam's team, or, or RJ or something. Yeah. He's funny. And he's a great kid. I'm just tired of the networks just.
Yeah. Well, that's classic, dude.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, when Tim Tebow was coming through, they thought that he was like God's gift of football.
Dude threw a dead duck. I knew it.
Yeah.
He's a winner though.
Okay, here's our last segment. So we'll end it on another holiday theme.
Yes.
This is another. Riley really came through with the Christmas themes. These were his idea. I'm not gonna take credit for it.
And we're going to the NBA now.
Yeah, we're in the NBA for a brief moment for our last segment. This one we're talking about what superstars should find themselves under the mistletoe.
Yeah.
And who we think is the best match for a couple of superstars. We're starting obviously with LeBron James. Who you got? Who should he be kissing on Christmas?
I mean, I wanted to say Anthony Davis. I went with Klay Thompson. Those are the two I kind of was having difficulty deciding between. LeBron's never had a big guy like Anthony Davis, so I didn't have any data to kind of back that up, but I know him in a spot-up shooter like Klay that can play defense would be deadly, right? Just the dish it out to him, he's draining it, and he can D up on the other end. I really like that matchup.
Yeah, I went with Anthony Davis. We have never. Chris Bosh is the best big man that
we've never seen it.
LeBron has ever played with, and that's not. Chris Bosh was outstanding. He helped them win 2 championships. But Anthony Davis, he's a do-it-all guy, plays great defense. He can shoot. He can handle the ball. And I see a lot of LeBron layups that come off the rim getting yammed back down from Anthony Davis. Because he can turn anyone into a spot-up shooter. Anthony Davis is the one guy that I think that would complement him the most without becoming just a spot-up shooter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the next guy we got is Kevin Durant and...
burner account.
Burner account. Yeah.
Just kidding. I kind of think he already has his best matchup.
That's exactly what I said.
Really?
Yeah. And then,
but I went with Chris Paul.
Yeah, Chris Paul. That's who I thought, but I was like, the only reason I didn't go with Chris Paul is just the age thing. Age thing.
Prime Chris Paul.
Yeah. And I also said Steph might be his guy.
Yeah. He might have the best matchup. He won't have it for much longer, hopefully.
Here, I also said John Wall. And the reason being is a lot of the same reason that you would go Chris Paul. Is KD isn't the leader that his team needs him to be. Chris Paul and John Wall are obviously alpha males. They're obviously alpha dogs. John Wall can be very Russ-like, and we saw how good that sort of athleticism paired with his game. But again, I'm not sure that Steph, like that playful, like kind of jovial approach to basketball that Steph and KD both come with. I think they complement each other very well on a personality basis. And when they're both shooting, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got the best scorer in the league and the best shooter in the league. It's hard to beat. But I think if we're gonna pair him with anybody, I'm going John Wall just because of like he's a leader. They'll be in DC. Katie's home.
And I almost put Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they'd want to kiss each other.
Yeah.
Giannis is the next one.
Yeah.
I just peeked at yours. You have the same as me.
Yeah.
Steph Curry.
Yeah. I mean,
that would be ooh.
Well, he just doesn't have the shot, and what better to compensate for no shot than giving him the best shooter
in the league. Yeah. I mean, that in and out game that pick and roll would be.
Yeah, I mean, because Steph can pass him the ball. Giannis, he runs. I mean, he has the highest shooting percentage under the basket. Steph is a tremendous shooter, and I think that their play styles would complement each other. And personality wise, Giannis is an alpha, and I don't think Steph needs to be an alpha.
Yeah, and I don't think he would care.
Yeah.
He's not gonna. Steph doesn't really get beef with anybody.
Yeah. It would be like. I mean, if he went to say Steph goes to the Bucks, I mean, that is like...
That's a championship.
Yeah. I mean, that is... Team Light Skin is going to win it all.
Yeah.
Steph and Giannis and Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a team you don't want to play.
No, absolutely not. Giannis is... God, he's so good. He might win it all. He might win the MVP this year.
Jokic for MVP.
The real Light Skin superstar. Yeah, that's going to conclude our episode. Guys, I hope you have the merriest of Christmases.
And the happiest of New Year's.
We will be back.
Well, we might be back before New Year.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't know when our next show is going to be. You know, it's holiday season. We're going to have some fun with our families, eat a lot of food. But
Lots of it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.